to march into the palaces of the high and mighty. I, the Lord, have dedicated these soldiers for this task. Yes, I have called mighty warriors to express my anger. Yes, I have called mighty warriors to express my anger. And they will rejoice when I am exalted.
Hello, welcome to another week. Katherine Albrecht here. Hang on. Focused on my lighting here. Let's see. There we go. All right. I spent the weekend doing something that I did so you don't have to, I guess. I spent the weekend going through the reconstructed Gmail account of Jeffrey Epstein, of all things, and it was horrifying. It was horrifying on a couple of fronts. Number one, for just the content of what a complete horrific human being Jeffrey Epstein actually was. We all know that, but when you actually read the sorts of things that he wrote to his rich and powerful and influential and politically connected friends, you come away with a sense of such tremendous disgust that goes beyond what we get just seeing the headlines and reading the news stories. The thing that I took away, in addition to the horrors of who Jeffrey Epstein actually was and the horrors of who the people were that he surrounded himself with, was the absolute stupidity of Jeffrey Epstein, which is good and works in our favor and worked against him, but the stupidity of conducting all of his correspondence with sultans and presidents and princes and prime ministers and incredibly important people through a Gmail account. Yes, you heard that right, a Gmail account. Jeffrey Epstein was using Gmail. His address was gvacation@gmail.com. Not some fancy StartMail account, not some fancy server of his own, but Gmail. And on top of that, he maintained two Gmail addresses and a Yahoo address, and I think even had an AOL address in there somewhere. Now, those of you who are listening to this program and are familiar Those of you who are listening to this program and are familiar with what I have been talking about with regard to email and communication privacy, you know how stupid of a decision that was. But not only did Jeffrey Epstein use a Gmail account for thousands and thousands of emails that were sent and received, but some of the most important people in the world, men, I will say, were also using Gmail addresses to correspond with him. And perhaps the one that shocked me the most was former Prime Minister of Israel, Ehud Barak, who was also the head of their defense forces. So this is a man who absolutely knew better than to have been, I think it was ehud01@gmail.com. That's like completely nonsensically stupid. And yet that's the email address that he was using to correspond to Jeffrey Epstein. And so it kind of reminds me a little bit of what Pete Hegseth and Hillary Clinton were doing. Is they had secure government issued email addresses, but they didn't trust the government. And so they wanted to continue to maintain their ability to correspond and write email outside of those government parameters. So Hillary, of course, set up her own server and had security people, I guess, set it up, or technical people, and it was in a bathroom, the server that was managing her email. And Pete Hegseth continued to use Gmail and Google Calendar for his personal business, despite the fact that he had a government-issued secure email address. And he was doing a lot of his professional things on there as well, government-based things. And that may be one of the reasons why he was, I guess, soundly slapped on the wrist by President Trump. So what's the takeaway here? The takeaway, I want you to actually see the takeaway. If you're near a computer, I want you to log on to this website. It is Jmail, the letter J, mail @.world, jmail.world. And what you will see there on jmail.world, and I'll see if I can bring it up in my, I'm here on YouTube, so I'll see if I can bring up the window here after the next break and we can look through it together. But jmail.world is a recreation of Jeffrey Epstein's emails. Now, it looks like a Google account, and the majority of the things in there are actually from his Google account, but it also incorporated a lot of the other emails that were part of the Epstein files. And there's I guess, a third part of this. So the first part is how disturbing the contents were. The second part is how stupid it was to put this all there. I guess the third part is how shockingly easy it is once you have access to someone's email account to search and find anything you want. You can type in any word and you will get back a list of all of the emails containing that word. And you can just search through it as though it were your own email. It's right there. So anyone who could hack into a Gmail account or simply get access to a Gmail account or simply be Google and have access to your Gmail account would be able to do this. The fourth disturbing thing is that this was created as kind of a public service, I suppose, by two gentlemen who are big on creating AI programs. And they used artificial intelligence to take all of this bulk of email and put it into searchable form and put it into the form of a Gmail account. So there are so many things here to be aware of and thoughtful of. How easy it is if you are using Gmail, Yahoo, Apple Mail, AOL, any of the email programs out there that are free, then this is what they have on you, and this is what they can look at on you at any time. So I'll pull it up on YouTube, like I said, after the break. But I want you to go to jmail.world and just poke around Jeffrey Epstein's email. Let me tell you a couple of things that you're going to find. I'm an alum of Harvard. I've got my doctorate from Harvard. I also attended the MIT Media Lab for a number of years as a graduate student because Harvard students can cross-enroll and MIT is just down the street. And so I took a lot of courses at the Media Lab. Now, the Media Lab was founded in 1985. I was there in the early 90s, 1993-ish. And at that time, the Media Lab was enough off the ground to have attracted quite a bit of, I've talked about this before, to have attracted quite a bit of corporate interest in getting the latest cutting edge technology to be researched by graduate students from MIT. And at the Media Lab at that time, there were a lot of professors who were on the cutting edge. I guess it still sort of is. It's considered to be the probably the top place in the world where new technologies get tested out and played with. So I took a course with Marvin Minsky. He is acknowledged, he's no longer with us, but he is acknowledged to be one of the fathers of artificial intelligence. I took a course with Eugene Skolnikoff, who is a scholar of technology, and I recently ran across his work as I was researching my own book on the history of technology, which is kind of cool. Walk down memory lane. I took a course with Sherry Turkle, Turkle. Sherry Turkle is the author of, at that time, a book called The Second Self. She was in her 40s at the time I was in my 20s, and she taught us all about the dangers of the thing that we all thought was so wonderful, which was this new emerging internet, this World Wide Web thing that was going to revolutionize the world and finally, after all these decades and centuries, finally make good on technology's promise to make the world a wonderful place of democracy and peace and communication and harmony. And all of us in our 20s were gung-ho believing that, and Sherry Turkle, I remember, was such a skeptic even then that we just thought she was a stick in the mud and didn't get it. Well, it turns out she was 100% right. She was absolutely right. So she's been making the rounds. I'm going to see if I can get her on this radio program or on this podcast, because she is doing, continues to do all these years later, a lot of commentary about the social dangers, the danger to the human mind and heart of the internet. But the reason I am mentioning all of that at the MIT Media Lab is because, drumroll, Jeffrey Epstein, as I went through those emails, I found email after email to professor after professor at the Media Lab at MIT and at Harvard, some of the top neuropsychologists and quantum physicists in the field. All right, I'll tell you why that is, and it's not a good reason when we come back. So let me see if I can get my window up. Stay tuned. This is Katherine Albrecht, and I'll be right back.
Look at the birds. Look at the birds. For you since you were born. Yes, I carried you before you were born. I will be your God throughout your lifetime, until your hair is white with age. I've cared for you since you were born. Yes, I carried you before you were born. I will be your God throughout your lifetime, until your hair is white with age. I made you, and I will care for you. I made you, and I will care for you. I have cared for you since you were born. Yes, I carried you before you were born. I will be your God throughout your lifetime, until your hair is white with age. I made you, and I will care for you. I made you, and I will care for you.
I think I did it.
I made you.
All right, let's find out if I actually got this to work. Let's see. Kind of. How does it say this? Okay. Well, I think that we are all seeing the same window in YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, you're listening to me on the radio, I will talk you through this. But let's see. Yeah, I think so. Let me read you what it says here on the Gmail site, assuming that is what is actually showing on my YouTube. I think it is. It says, you are logged in as Jeffrey Epstein. These are real emails released by Congress. Explore by name, search, visit a random page, contribute to the starred list, or vote for an unredaction. All right, now what you see here along the left is just like a regular Gmail account. It says Gmail up at the top, but just like a Gmail account, it has a compose link, which if you click it, I don't think it does anything. Yeah, because you can't compose from this. It's just a recreation. It also has an inbox with 7,400 emails in it. It has a starred box with 10,411 emails. Not quite sure I understand that. It's got 4,200 sent emails. And if you go beyond this, down at the bottom, you'll actually see that there is not only Jmail, but there's also JPhotos, which will take you to a repository of all the photographs that have been released in the Epstein files. JDrive, which will take you to all the files in the Google Drive that he had. JFlights, which gives you information on his itinerary, not just flights that he took on the Lolita Express, but it has a flight log of who was with him on those flights, on what dates, where they went. There's a lot of information in here. And so without further ado, I think we're able to see it. Let me take you into some of this email. And I'm going to tell you the thing that most concerned me about this as I was looking through, well, I can't say the most thing, everything in here was concerning, but Jeffrey Epstein got in, well, the MIT Media Lab got in hot water, let me put it that way, because Jeffrey Epstein had donated or given outside of their normal procedures, off the books or under the table, as it were, over $800,000 to the MIT Media Lab. And MIT has actually apologized for this. They've taken that $850,000, I think, and they have donated it to charity. They have apologized profusely, and like everybody else implicated in the Epstein files, they have denied any knowledge of anything he was doing wrong, along with all the people who were associated with it. But the concern that I had was, what in the world? Why would Jeffrey Epstein be paying off scientists, academics? I understand why he was buying $65,000 Jaguars and $35,000 Rolex watches and flying people on his private jet and doing all of the things that he did, giving like $100,000 to Sarah Ferguson to pay her rent. I understand that he was trading cash for favors, but I did not understand why these unknown academics, and when I say unknown, they're known in their field, but they're certainly not, people that you'd know their names if you heard them. Why was he giving these academics money? And I spent probably the better part of Saturday digging through this, trying to find out the reason. And let me show you something very concerning. I am typing, if you can see it on YouTube, I'm typing in the word deception. Okay, the word deception. This is, so most of the contents that I found in the Epstein emails has already been reported in the media. This one, to the best of my knowledge, has not. And so I stumbled upon a topic, deception, hang on, with, let me do my little search here, deception, hang on, what am I doing wrong? Deception, that had 1,200 search results when I typed it in. 1,200 search results on the word deception between 2007 and 2019. Now, what in the world, 1,200, I'm sorry, did I say 12,000? I meant 1,200. What in the world would he be writing about 1,200 times? Why would there be 1,200 emails of correspondence sent and received from Jeffrey Epstein on deception? And then I got to the actual smoking gun bottom line of it. The reason that he was giving all this money to MIT and funding all of this research to Harvard neuroscientists is because he wanted to fund their research into deception, into the psychology of deception. Now, obviously, from a Jeffrey Epstein standpoint, sure, yeah, he would want to be on the cutting edge of that research because he was deceiving everybody. The concerning part is that the researchers that he reached out to, the academics, the professors at Harvard and MIT, were so starstruck by being contacted by a billionaire and having $100,000 thrown at their research here and there that they unquestioningly got on board the whole Jeffrey Epstein, I don't know, train, and they flew to his island. He would reach out to random academics and say, I'm really interested in your research and this research paper on deception that you did. And of course, as an academic myself, I've never been a professor, but I can say that when you reach out to a professor and you talk to them about the topic that they've written on, you're speaking music to their ears. The most important thing in the world to them is the thing that they're researching and writing about. And Jeffrey Epstein would reach out to them and say, I've read all your stuff. I'm a huge fan of you, and I want to support your further research. And I would like for you to find a few colleagues who are also doing cutting edge research in this area. And I'd like to fly you guys to my private island. So if you look here, let me see if I can find a couple of these. Judith Jonath is one. This is Jeffrey Epstein, Judith Jonath. She is, I believe she's at Harvard. You got Neil Gershenfeld, you got Leslie Groff, Sebastian Sung, and Ed Boyden, all academics. And writing, how does communicative competition shape both biologically and culturally our world? Now, a lot of this was pretty academic and probably not of a huge amount of smoking gun interest, which probably is why nobody has actually written on this topic, and no one's exposed this. But let me go on. In our interactions with other people, we signal in innumerable ways claims about our identity, status, and intentions. We each try to make the best impression we can. At the same time, as viewers, we try to see through to the, quote, truth about others. Signaling theory is the framework for understanding how our various signals evolved. By the way, this is an academic writing, so it's not surprising that this sounds pretty academic. Signaling theory is the framework for understanding how our various signals evolved and what keeps them honest enough to function. And deception is central, particularly the question of how much deception is tolerable and even desirable in various circumstances. All right, so these are the kinds, in this 1,200 emails about deception, these are the kinds of conversations that people were having with Jeffrey Epstein. And he was funding this research. Why? Because he wanted to be the person to get access to it first, because he wanted to be able to pick the brains of these neuroscientists and these really brilliant people. And his writing is full of typos, and he seems to struggle to with just basic literacy sometimes. And because he had so much money and so much influence, he could reach out to these academics and just dazzle them, starstrike them. He flew them to his private island. These are academics who, for the most part, have spent their time writing, studying, researching. They've been in libraries. They've been, in databases full of research. These are not people accustomed, like some of the other glitterati that he was involved with. These are not people accustomed to having fancy meals and marble staircases and wood paneled fireplace rooms, and all of the beautiful, beautiful women that Jeffrey Epstein had managed, and we'll talk about this in a minute, but had managed to lure onto his island. These were not people accustomed to any of that. And if you say to an academic, I'm very interested in your topic, and here's some money, and climb into my limo, hop on my private jet, come to my opulent private island, then those people will be blown away by what you have to offer. And the main thought they'll have, and this is the main thought that the main thing that I saw them communicating to him is, gratitude. I'm so grateful that you're funding my research. I'm so grateful to be your friend. I'm so, I admire you so much. And it was all very, very much regular people. These are not rich people. They don't make a whole lot of money, but they're very smart. Feeling like for the first time they had actually gotten in on the inside of the opulence, the fanciness. And he took advantage of that. So these articles, and I have yet to go through all of them. What I actually need to do is identify, because no one else has done this, I need to identify who were the Harvard professors, who were the MIT professors, and then go back and actually poke around in the literature and find out what exactly were they writing about? What was the research that he was so very interested in? Now, other parts of the research he helped to fund have gotten some media attention. He was interested in funding social acceptance of transgenderism and biological modifications. But this whole topic of deception is fascinating. All right, I'm Katherine Albrecht. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
Therefore, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. Therefore, humble yourselves under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. Casting all your care upon him, casting all your worries upon him, for he cares for you. He cares for you. He cares. He cares for you. Stay alert, watch out for your great enemy. He prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Stand firm against him and be strong in your faith, casting all your worries upon him, casting all your care upon him, for he cares for you. He cares for you. He cares. He cares for you. All power to him forever. 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 I will say to the prisoners, come out in freedom. And to those in darkness, come into the light. I will say to the prisoners, come out in freedom. And to those in darkness,
All right, let me take you through these emails and you can see what I saw. You can go and do this search yourself. If you go to jmail.world, you yourself can see just how much information can be known about a person on the basis of getting into their email inbox. And of course, this is a good time for me to remind you that if you do not want to have all of your email shared in the way Jeffrey Epstein's has been, then don't use Google, don't use Gmail, don't use Yahoo, use StartMail. Get yourself a StartMail account, use promo code KMA and save $20 off. But if you haven't done it yet, this should be your wake-up call to do it, because you can actually see what it feels like to have all of your private email gone through. Now, in the case of Jeffrey Epstein, yikes. But the reality is that if someone were going through your email for whatever reason, even if it was just AI going through your email, they will also find things that make them go, aha, and this and that, that give you that would give them control over your life and access to very personal information. So imagine just momentarily while you're going through this that it's not Jeffrey Epstein's email that is being gone through and talked about in the media and in newspaper articles and on the radio, but that it was your own personal email. Very disturbing thought. And this is the first time that I've been actually able to demonstrate to people just how invasive it is to have all of your email there. Gmail saved it all. Gmail saved it all going back to 2009 or 2007. Even if you delete it, even if you have a Gmail account and you delete incriminating email, there is a record of your email account that looks just like this, with every single thing you ever deleted included in there, as though you would never deleted it, because you can never delete an email that has been sent or received from your Gmail or Yahoo account. You can't. You can delete it from you being able to see it, but it won't go away from their servers. All right, let me see if I can take you here. All right, here we go. I'm trying to figure out, how do I make this a little bit bigger so you can see it? I'm still learning as I go. All right. So what you can see, and I'm new to this, so bear with me while I learn how to do it. But what I looked up, this is in the jmail.world website of Jeffrey Epstein's email. And first I typed in the word deception. Let me do that first and you can see. So when I type in deception, if you look over here, hopefully, let me see if it's visible. It's not. How do I make that fit? Hang on one second. I just want to figure out how to make it wider. That is not working. It's going to take me I think maybe that does it. All right, so if you look over here on the upper right-hand corner at the search for the word deception, there we go. I think that's kind of visible there. You'll see 1 through 50 of 1,199 emails containing the word deception. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to narrow that down, and I'm going to put the word deception, and I'm going to add the word island. So deception and a space and the word island. And now let's search Jeffrey Epstein's email. Hang on. Deception, island. All right. And when we do that, we can see that there are 50 emails that contain the word deception and the word island. So let's click one of them up, shall we? Here's what it says. This is from Neil Gershenfeld. Let me see. I think I have Neil. Where do I have Neil? I've opened all these up. Is this Neil? Sebastian? Here's Neil Gershenfeld. All right, so who wrote this email, first of all? We can look him up. Neil Gershenfeld, it says, is an American computer scientist born in 1959. He is a professor in the MIT program in Media, Arts, and Sciences, and the director of the MIT Center for Bits and Atoms. He works mainly on interdisciplinary topics in physics and computer science, such as quantum computing, nanotechnology, and personal fabrication. That's 3D printing. So this is the second area. So the first was neuroscientists interested in research on deception, and he was linking research on deception with research on quantum physics. And that's where it gets very, very strange. He was interested in finding ways to control and exert power using both psychological means through deception and using mathematical and quantum physics means. Now, I'm not sure I understand this. I have no idea what they were talking about on their island, and they don't exactly discuss it in their email, and we don't know. Now, let me tell you what tipped me off to this in the first place. on Jeffrey Epstein's island, and you can find this in jmail.world/photos. If you go down to the bottom, and you may have seen these pictures circulating around, Jeffrey Epstein on his island had one room with a big black chalkboard on it, and written on the chalkboard in big white chalk was the word deception. And that's what tipped me off. I'm like, what the heck? What's he doing there? And then underneath that, it said mathematics and power and control and some other things that were illegible. I said, what in the world? So I actually went and started researching, and that is how I found this rich vein of creepy content that no one else has been talking about. All right, so let me get back to Jeffrey Epstein's email now. This is from Neil Gershenfeld, one of 50 emails with the word deception and island in the same email. And what he says is Ed. Now, he's writing this to Ed Boyden. I don't think I looked him up yet. For a Mathematics of Deception weekend retreat in sunnier climes, Jeff's Island, we could all do February 8th, 9th, 22nd, 23rd, March 8th, 9th, April 12th, or 13th. How are those options for you? Neil. All right. Now, this, I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if you can see it. I think you can't. I need to move it over just a little bit. I'm trying to figure out how to get the window to show up for you guys properly. And I'm not sure how to do it. In each of the emails that you see, there is next to the date, this was dated December 9th, 2013 at 7:36 p.m. Next to that, there is a little infinity circle. That is, you can click that and get the link to this exact email. And in fact, let me do that, and I am posting it in my chat room at Katherine-Albrecht.com. Oh, it says I'm anonymous, but that's me. So I posted over there so you can actually click that and go directly to this email. The other thing next to it is a star, and it currently has 2 stars. I'm going to click that and make it 3 stars. And that means that people going through these thousands of emails in Jeffrey Email's Gmail account, if they find something that they believe other people should look at, they will click the star. So some of these are really boring, like I need you to come and fix the pavement, or things like that. We're ordering new sofa, whatever. They're very boring and not very interesting. But some are like this, where they're actually very interesting, where he's inviting some of the top scientists in the world to come and join him on the island for a, quote, Mathematics of Deception weekend. Creepy as heck. Now, let me tell you who the people are who are CC'd in this email. So the first one is Judith Donath. She is an American computer scientist. And let me read. Born 1962, she is a fellow at Harvard's Berkman Center. And she is founder of the Sociable Media Group at the MIT Media Lab. She has written papers on various aspects of the internet and its social impacts, such as internet society and community, interfaces, virtual identity issues, and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so that's the first person. The next person who is quoted in here, we have Neil Gershenfeld. We talked about him. Sebastian Sung. He is an American multidisciplinary scientist. All right, well, here's his background. He was president at Samsung Research and Samsung Electronics, and he is currently a professor in Princeton Neuroscience at the Institute and Department of Computer Science. He has done influential research in both computer science and neuroscience and helped pioneer the new field of connectomics, developing new computational technologies for mapping the connection between neurons, and has been described as the cartographer, in other words, the map maker of the brain. All right, so that's this guy. A little more on him. Since 2014, he's been a professor in computer science and neuroscience at Princeton's Neuroscience Institute at the Jeff Bezos Center in Neural Dynamics. Okay. Before that, he worked at MIT as a full professor in computational neuroscience. Now, why do you think that Jeffrey Epstein was flying Sebastian Sung out to his island for a Mathematics of Deception weekend? Huh? Because this is the little understood thing in today's world. Scientists, the knowledge that we are amassing of how the human brain works, the knowledge that we're amassing of really the all academic disciplines, are being turned to the use of very, very wealthy, influential people who are using the insights of these hardworking academics in order to exert further control over society. This is so important. I can't overemphasize it. You would not pay $800,000 randomly to, I don't know, out of the goodness of your heart because you want to support science or academia. You do that so that you get access to these people, so you can fly them to your island, so you can spend a weekend on your whiteboard with your chalk and get the real insights, the deep stuff. That's what he was doing. And I don't think they were the wiser. I think they had no clue. I think they were very naive and went, cool, we'll tell you. All right, stay tuned.
Certainly care for you. Morning by morning, he wakens me and opens my understanding to his will. Morning by morning, he wakens me and opens my understanding to his will. I offered my back to those who beat me, and my cheeks to those who pulled out my beard. I didn't hide my face, I didn't hide my face from mockery and spitting. I didn't hide my face. Morning by morning.
All right, I'm back.
He wakens me.
Let me head back to this email. I want to show you how you can navigate this on your own, and hopefully, I don't know why is it that I cannot make it wide enough? Here, let me try narrowing my window on this end. That might do it. Let's see. Ta-da! That did it. All right, so if you take a look, if you're able to see the video stream on YouTube on my channel there, or you can go and catch this later, what you will see is I am logged into the jmail.world account, and I have done a search in the email at Gmail for Deception and Island. Now, it's not like Fantasy Island where it's Deception Island. This is just two keywords, and I searched for all of the email with these two keywords. If you look up Island, you'll find a jillion. If you look up Deception, you'll find 1,200. If you look up Deception and Island, you'll find 50, and they're interesting. All right, I did find Ed Boyden. So Neil Gershenfeld had written this on December 9th, 2013, suggesting to other academics that they head to Jeffrey Epstein's island to have a mathematics of deception weekend in a sunny climate. Now, bear in mind, these guys are all in Massachusetts because right outside of Boston is where Harvard and MIT are located. These are all Harvard MIT guys. And February and March are nasty months in New England. They're very, very cold. So the appeal of this would be not only to get together with fellow academics, not only to be flown on a private jet, not only to be wined and dined and treated like royalty, not only to be able to talk about your favorite subject in the whole world, which is your academic research, but the opportunity to get the heck out of miserable winter New England and head to a beautiful tropical island. Who would say no to that? Okay. So now, if you look up in the upper right-hand corner, it has 1 through 50. I'm going to click the arrow. We're going to go to the second email out of these 50 about Deception and Island, and this one is even more interesting. All right, I'm going to read this. This is from Neil Gershenfeld, and he says, Jeffrey Epstein visited yesterday and asked about modeling deception as a way to understand how the brain works. I suggested you three as good people for that question. Now, this is 2 months before, so he wrote that invitation in December. These are, by the way, not in chronological order, so you kind of have to sort them out. This is October 25th, 2013. I suggested you three as good people for that question. Now, what was the question? Deception as a way to understand how the brain works. Now, this is a very esoteric and very specific thing to be interested in, don't you think? He's offered to bring us to his NYC, New York City house, or Caribbean island, or Santa Fe Ranch to discuss. Or he could return to Cambridge. Now, Cambridge is outside of Boston. That's the city that MIT and Harvard are actually in, Cambridge, Massachusetts. Or he could return to Cambridge for a dinner. Parentheses, I'm happy to host. If you're interested, next step would be a calendar sync to see when it could happen. All right. Now, Judith Donath responds. Where'd she go? I think I lost Judith, but I had her up a minute ago. Anyway, she responds to this email and says, sounds intriguing. Thanks, and yes, I'm interested. The destinations are all attractive, though Cambridge is certainly the most tractable, the most doable. Signed, Judith. All right, I'm going to move on to the next email. This one is dated January 29th, 2014. And this one says, how many people... Oh, this is from Leslie Groff, who I believe is Epstein's assistant who coordinates travel. How many people fit comfortably? So far, there's Jeff and the four of us. Now, I guess she's one of the academics. Question is, how many more should we invite? How do we go to and from the island? Key information, sender, Leslie Groff, date, January 29, 2014. Subject, logistics for an evening, an event or meeting. Leslie is introducing someone who works for Jeffrey on his island who will be the contact for logistics. Event dates, February 22nd and 23rd. Total number of attendees. And what is the topic? Right here, research topic, building tools to understand brain computation for curing brain disorders and understanding the human condition, the role of communicative competition in shaping our world, how individuals signal identity, status, and intentions in interaction, and the desire to see through to, quote, the truth, right? And then Jeffrey Epstein adds understanding deception to understand the brain, brain building as a test case for aligning the representations of hardware and software, probably AI related, mapping the connectome to understand brain function and help you build artificial brains, and modeling intertemporal choice as a game between multiple selves and its relation to self-deception. All right, this is just creepy as hell. Going on, that's number 3. Number 4 Neil Gershenfeld. Let's see. This is the response from Sebastian Sung. He's the where is he? Sebastian Sung. He is. Did I close them all? I think I must have closed all these. But he's the Samsung guy. And by the way, this is Ed Boyden up on my screen, if you can see it. Ed Boyden, PhD. He's the person who initiated this and brought the other guys on, or Neil Gershenfeld brought them on board, but wrote first to him. Professor, Department of Brain and Cognitive Science, Media Arts and Science, and Biological Engineering at the McGovern Institute of MIT. Biological Engineering. So you can go through these. You can read through all of these on your own. I've posted a link to this, and you can click through the 50 different articles. You can see all the things that they're writing about. There's options, there's travel arrangements. And at one point, someone in this, I think it's Michelle Riley, who was one of the MIT lecturers who attended this conference, wrote to Jeffrey Epstein after the fact and talked about island orgies. So there you have it. I don't think that these people went to Jeffrey Epstein's island to have an orgy. I think that a lot of the men who went there absolutely did, and it's very clear through the email that that's what they understood they were going to be getting. These guys, I think, rather innocently and somewhat naively stumbled into this realm that they were absolutely not prepared for. They went out there to talk about their research. Jeffrey Epstein wanted to pick their brains because he is very interested in controlling the minds of others. He's very interested in artificial intelligence. He's very interested in manipulating people. And he brought them out to the island. And then at that point, apparently orgies and other things took place. But I don't think that's what they went for. And I don't think they signed up for that. But it certainly seems that they participated in it based on subsequent emails that you got from these people. Since nothing is scheduled yet, let's find a clear weekend, blah, blah, blah. And so they're all just talking about how do we coordinate, but there's no discussion of orgies, no discussion of underage women, no discussion of illegal activities. It is just academic and logistics. How are we going to get together and talk? Now, if you go through and look at the 1,200 emails on the topic of deception and you do a little bit of searching in the media of who was funded from the MIT Media Lab, who had to eat crow. Some of them, MIT Media Lab apologizing for taking money. Who are those people? Then you can actually begin to see the web kind of come together. But this is what Jeffrey Epstein did. He used his incredible wealth. He used the fact that he could wow people with private jets. And I don't know if you've seen the photographs of the interior of his home, but it's amazing. I mean, there's statuary and there's sculptures and there's marble staircases and it's amazing. And if you are just a normal person, not accustomed to that level of wealth and opulence, and you walk into there, you're going to think, without knowing that he is a criminal and using you, you're going to think, I've got it made. I've stumbled into the best thing I've ever found. This is great. How do I hang on to this level of hobnobbing and rubbing elbows with the rich and famous? You could go to Epstein's Island and Mick Jagger might be there, or Bill Gates might be there, or other famous people might be there. David Copperfield, I don't know, all sorts of people were there. And so here you are, a lowly academic. And I don't mean that, you're one of the smartest people in the world, but you're not used to hanging around with stuff like that. And you hop on the private jet, he funds $150,000 of your pet research. You get there and you're just blown away. And at that point, once he did that, this is how he operated. He would take people, including the girls, the girls as young as 12 and 13. He would bring them into his environment, impress the daylights out of them with his incredible wealth, and room after room of wood paneling and statues and, you name it, Persian rugs and so much money. And at that point, I mean, if you're 12 years old, well, that's mortifying to think about. But a lot of these young girls stayed. They actually got brought into that orbit, abused, and then stayed, because that's a lot of fancy amazingness, and you're hanging out with rich people. And and he preyed upon poor young women who didn't have a lot. It's very sad. So anyway, that's another part of this that we can follow up on. But look up deception at Gmail. Let me get you back to me. All right. Thanks so much for listening. I pulled it off. I'll see you guys tomorrow. God bless you. Bye-bye.